Good morning, my Teaserking family. It is Sunday. Let's have a good Sunday. Hope everybody had a good Saturday. Yesterday's picks did very well. The Yankees win, Boston over wins, Baltimore over wins, St. Louis over wins, 49ers and Texas over wins. The only loser were the Mets over Houston, and the Dodgers lost with Kershaw. Well, that happens, unfortunately. But overall, a good day. No locks. Let's go into today's picks, and let's see what we can dig out. Detroit, Toronto starts so early, 12:05 for this Peacock network. Hill with the 5 against Burrows with the 5 ERAs. I don't like the Tigers hit. The Toronto can hit, but doesn't. I don't know. You got 10 minutes for that, so let's pass that. Milwaukee, Boston. We had Boston over yesterday. They went way over. Again, Ashby from Milwaukee, 2-4 with a 4.38 against Winkowski for Boston, 3-5 with a 5-18. And we're going to go over again. Boston over 9.5. At Fenway, they're a good over. They hit really well, and they can't pitch. So they're a perfect over. As we talk in football, right, you got a good quarterback and no defense. They're an over here. Good hitting and no pitching is a good over. Kansas City and the Yankees. Zach Greinke for Kansas City, 3-6 with the 4.35, and Montgomery 3-3 with the 3.50. Now, I see the odds, Yankees minus whatever, 260, 270, over under 8.5. This to me has got to be an over. When I look at everything, the Yankees over 8.5. So the first thing I see is, well, wait a minute, Montgomery's 3-3 with the 3.50. It's not like one of the, of Verlander or one of their other big guns pitching. This guy's okay. Greinke for KC used to be good. Now he's 3-6 with the 4.35. Another one of these Baumgartner guys that you just don't know what to expect. But I mean, 8.5 for the Yankees at home. They should get that. Judge has been on fire. I think you get better odds going over than you do with the 275 with the Montgomery. I mean, he's hardly the guy that I want to go over with, that I want to bet on at 275, maybe at 120, but it's a mismatch. So let's go over with the Yankees. And I'm noticing a lot more runs being scored. The weather's nice. I guess the hitters like the warmer weather. I know when I played, I liked, of course, you'd like a 80-degree day out than a 40-degree day out. Absolutely. But, yeah, definitely scoring's picked up. You just got to get the right spot. Arizona and Atlanta. Arizona, Kelly, 10-5 with a 3.04. Not bad against Fried, the ace for Atlanta, 10-3 with a 2.73. Over under 8.5. I'm going to go under in this game. Atlanta, under 8.5. And you got to be careful. But I like that Kelly's 10-5, so it's not like a bullpen guy. 3.04 ERA, and Fried 10-3 with the 2. So again, Fried's the ace. Should be a low scoring game. You got 8.5. It's not one of these 6.5 or 7s that I see and I can't understand. See, this should be like a 6.5 or a 7. It's 8.5. So again, they're taking in the hitting, but the pitchers will shut down the hitting. So I look for a low scoring game there. Cardinals in Washington. We had St. Louis over and over 10, and they hit like 15 yesterday. Over under 9. We got Palante for St. Louis, 3-4 to 3.53 against Josh Gray for Washington, 7-6 with a 4.45. Again, neither pitcher's very good. They went over yesterday. I think they'll go over today. So St. Louis over 9. Pitt and Philly. Now I thought that would be a lot of runs. I didn't play it. It was 2-1 game, so you scratch your head. Philadelphia, Nola 6-8 with a 3.32 against Brubaker, 2-8 with a 3.96. My oh my, guy's not a bad pitcher. Well, 4 ERA, but he's 2-8, so he's not getting run support probably. And again, both pitchers are decent. Over under 7. I am not touching this game. Again, I can't trust the pitcher to win, and maybe Nola wins, but he's not. He's an average pitcher, 6-8. Over under a 7. The only way you can play the game's over, but with the two decent pitchers, I can't. See, now here you have in Arizona, Atlanta, you got a 3.04 pitcher and a 2.73, and the over-under is 8.5. And here you got a 3.32 and a 3.96. Both pitchers are worse than the Atlanta game, and the over-under is 7. I mean, it's just that, okay, Pitt doesn't hit very well. Maybe not. They have days where they hit. So, again, that's where I scratched my head going, the over-unders, something's wrong here. They're not being consistent. They're looking at the offense or how many runs they score, and they don't catch that it's all pitching. A Verlander will shut you out even if you're whoever you are. And he went to the Yankees, right? And I heard, oh, no, you can't bet the Yankees under, and was Verlander and Cole, and the score was 2-0. So good pitching will defeat good hitting. Baltimore, Cincinnati. Baltimore, what did we have? We had Baltimore over yesterday, and it was a winner. And we got Baltimore again. It was Cincinnati. Voth, 1-1 with a 6.15, and Lodolo, 3-3 with a 4.73. Over under 9. Again, this is another Baltimore over 9. Again, it's only 9. Cincinnati's been scoring a lot, as has Baltimore. Neither pitcher's any good. You can't take a team. I just like when the team's hitting, like Cincinnati's hitting Baltimore, and then this is not their ace. I don't even know if Baltimore has an ace. Not every team has an ace. An ace is a Verlander. An ace is a McCullough. Those are your aces. They a 2.0 ERA. New York's got some, the Yankees, the Mets have Scherzer. When your best pitch, just because your best pitcher is not necessarily an ace, like the Tigers, they don't have any good pitching, they got good relief and no starters. And so none of the starters are aces. They're probably their best starters almost. It's a weak 2 or a good 3. So they don't even have an ace starter, which is why they're in last place and the worst team in baseball. You got to have aces. You got to have at least 2. You got to have a Verlander and another strong and a Scherzer, and then a decent bullpen. But you need the starters, and the starters need to go 7 innings. This 5-inning crap is just ridiculous. Saving their arm. Verlander's fucking 39. What do you mean saving his arm? What are you saving his arm for now? So I just, this whole 100 pitch count, you can't go through the third time in the lineup. Give me a break. Where are they getting this shit from? This is ridiculous. That's like pulling Tom Brady because he threw 25 passes. Well, sorry, Tom. We got to save your arm for next year. The guy's going to be 50 and still playing, throwing 50 passes a game, and not a problem. All right. The Mets in Miami, over under a 7. That was one of my losers. I had the Mets over. They didn't score. It was 4-0. So they shut out Miami not with a good pitcher, with an average pitcher. Again, that's what I've been warning about, is the pitcher with a 4.0 ERA, and he shuts them out. Let's see. We got Taijuan Walker for the Mets, 8-2 with a 2.67, very strong. Pablo Lopez, 7-5 with a 3.03. Now, because they didn't hit 8, they were 4-0 yesterday. I'm taking this game under the New York Jets, and we're going to go under 7. Because if they're not hitting, they're not hitting. That yesterday's game, the over was based on 2 4.0 or higher ERAs on the pitchers, and it was 4-0. Now you got 2 good pitchers, a 2.67 and a 3.03. Why would they start hitting this stuff when they couldn't hit the weaker stuff? So I'm going under 7. The Cleveland Browns and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's see. We got an over under 8.5. I think that's 8, or is it 6? No, it's 6.5. Who the hell is pitching here? Brian Shaw, 4-2 with a 5.45 against McClanahan. There we go. Lock, Tampa Bay. Here's our lock, McClanahan. I'm still looking at over under of 6.5. I mean, Brian Shaw is 4-2 with a 5.45. So this is what I'm talking about. You got the second best pitcher in the league behind Verlander, McClanahan, going, 10-3 with a 1.76. Cleveland's not. They're not maybe getting one run, but how is Shaw going to keep Tampa under 6? So the 6.5, you cannot go over 6.5 with the McClanahan. It's like betting a Georgia football game over. You can't do it with that defense. You can only go under or not. Here, I cannot go over 6.5 with McClanahan, but I'll just play McClanahan because the Cleveland pitcher with a 5.45 ERA, I would expect Tampa to beat on him. So there's my first lock, Tampa Bay. And again, the lock's just, if it's there, it's a lock. I don't have anything planned. I'm going to lock 3 games a day. It's when I see a game like that, that's a lock. We're betting McClanahan like we bet Verlander. Okay, Oakland and the White Sox. We got Adam Euler for Oakland, 1-3 with an 8.07. This guy sucks. Dylan Cease, 10-4 with a 2.03. He's their ace. We're going to take the White Sox, and that's our second lock. Cease against some Adam Euler, 1-3 with an 8.07. I did not play this. I think it was high scoring yesterday, but here's Cease. Now, I would expect the White Sox to light up this Adam Euler. Now, in the modern day baseball, 1-3 with an 8.07, you're thinking you're licking your chops, but then what's he going to pitch? 2-3 innings, give up 2-3 runs. They'll pull them and move to the bullpen, and that's the modern game. But Cease, 10-4, 2.03. He's their ace. So I look for them. I look for a shutout by the White Sox. Over under of 8. They could explode and get 10, 11 runs, but I think the odds on Oakland winning are slim and none. Seattle and Houston. We got Kirby, 2-3 with a 3.50 for Seattle. Jake Orduzzi, 4-3 with a 4.25 for Houston. Seattle won yesterday, or did Houston win? Houston won with Verlander like 12-1. And then Seattle, I think, got them 5-4. Yeah, I had Houston lost with their number 2 pitcher going and losing. So Seattle is a very good. They're not bad. They're 55-47. I thought they were weak, but they're better. Kirby, I can't pick a winner, so let's go over under 8.5. Yeah, probably. Let's go Seattle over 8.5. Dodgers and Colorado. Dodgers disappoint yesterday, losing with their. Well, I don't even know if he's their ace anymore. I think they got a better pitcher than Kershaw. Kershaw's bullshit. He just does the hesitation move, and I think they figured it out. And otherwise, he doesn't have a lot of stuff, and he's a choke pitcher anyway. So let's see, Gonzalez. Here's your ace, Gonzalez. 11-1 with a 2.26 against Germain Marquez. 6-8, 5.25. We're taking the Dodgers. Now, because they beat Kershaw, I'm not locking this game, but it's a very strong Dodger play. 11-1 with a 2.26 ERA against a 5.25 should be a lock, but that's why it's strong. I don't like when Kershaw loses to this guy. Now they can hit Colorado, especially at home. Over under 11.5. That's ridiculous. Very high, but little pop-ups or home runs in Colorado. The Rangers and the California Angels, over under 8.5. We got Dane Dunning for Texas, 1-6 with a 4.38 against Reed Detmers, 3-3 with a 3.84. 2 pigs pitching. Should go over Texas, LA. What did we have? We had Texas over 8.5. So let's play Texas over again. Texas over 8.5. Worked yesterday. Let's see today. 2-0 pitchers. I think we're fine. The Vikings and the Chargers. Vikings got the W yesterday. We didn't play the game. Let's see if we're going to play this one. 8.5. We got Dylan Bundy, 6-4, the 5.02 against Sean Manea, 5-5 with the 4.33. Two bad pitchers. Over under 8.5. We're gonna go San Diego over 8.5. This is another 2 weak pitchers pitching in a kind of a low ERA, a low over under 8.5. I don't know. I just think it's easier to hit more, especially now. So let's go over. And the Cubs and the 49ers. We had the 49ers. They made us sweat a little bit. It was 5-0. I go W, and I looked this morning. They went 5-4. So not a lot of bullpen there. See, that's the thing. You go 5-0. You think, okay, it's under Frisco, and it ends 5-4. So Frisco wins. But there goes your under. And if you bet the over, you got to pray for 4 runs. It's funny. I had it under 8, and I said, no, let's take the 49ers. And I would have thought I would have going to win at 5-0, and then I would have lost it. So sometimes if you can get the team just to win, it's better, but it's a hard call. Weak bull. It shows me weak bullpen for the 49ers. I can't bet them to win. So we have Adrian Sampson for the Cubs. Must be a lot of something here on the computer that's making me sing. The rest of the day, I'm not really sneezing like this. So we got Adrian Sampson, 0-1 with a 3.2 for the Cubbies, and Carlos Rodon, 8-6 with the 3.18. So he's got a good ERA, but no record. Regular pitcher, over under 7.5. It went over. The Niners bullpen probably won't be good. Who's the Sampson? I'm going to lay away. It's a 7. And, this is the confusing. This over-under should be higher, especially it went over yesterday. So I'm going to stay away from that game. So let me find my YouTube. Hi, Don Play. Yes, I do have 2 locks. Well, yeah, we can go over them. Okay, here is today's games. We got they start at 1:30 and later. Boston over 9.5. The Yankees over 8.5. Atlanta under 8.5. St. Louis over 9. Baltimore over 9. The Mets under 7. Lock number 1, take McCullough for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is the lock. Lock number 2, the White Sox, Dylan Chase, I believe. And then Seattle over 8.5, the Dodgers, Texas over 8.5, and San Diego over 8.5. So the 2 locks are Tampa Bay and the White Sox. McCullough's like a Verlander. He's pitching. It's pretty much a lock unless he's pitching Verlander, then it's a lock under. But they're both locks are aces against 5s, and the Dodgers would have been a 3rd lock, but after Kershaw loses to Colorado, it's a probably LA's ace going today against nothing pitcher for Colorado. So bet LA strong, but not a lock. So that's today's baseball. Again, Tampa Bay a lock, White Sox a lock. That is baseball. Had a real good day yesterday. Let's see. So you want to talk about week 1 college. All right. Let's look at week 1 college. Now, week 1 to me is the August 27th game. So there's about 6 games. Ray, White Sox, got it. Okay. So if we look at the first abbreviated week, we got Nevada, New Mexico State. I haven't talked about these teams yet. What I do is I kind of look at last year's, what type of team were they, because we don't really know this year. we get into the coaching. Is the quarterback returning? So I had Nevada as an over team last year. Well, the Strong's gone. He graduated. The coach is gone. So you have a new coach who's more of a defensive coach and new quarterback. You got a new quarterback for New Mexico State and a new coach. So you have a lot of variables that you don't know. Normally, last year this would have been take Nevada minus 12. We would have locked minus 6 with Carson Strong, but we don't. We don't. Are they still an over team? Well, they got a new coach who's a defensive coach. We got a new quarterback. So I haven't gotten to the Mountain West yet. And I've looked at them briefly, but I haven't. When I do my team by team, I did the ACC and the AAC yesterday. I'm going to do the Big Ten, and I don't know if I think I'm doing the Big 12 and the Big 10 today. So I need more look at Nevada, New Mexico State. I would think Nevada minus 12 down to 6 is probably a good way. Over only 55. New Mexico State's terrible. I doubt they're going to be any better, especially with the new coach and new quarterback. Nevada losing their quarterback is going to hurt them, and getting a new coach. So it's a very two question. Nevada's a question mark. New Mexico State will stink. Northwestern Nebraska. I have Nebraska minus 7. The line's 12. I'm like, why? Now Martinez finally, he didn't even graduate. He moved on. He's at one of the Big 12 schools, which I'm going to talk about. I think he's at Kansas or something like that. Kansas State. Nebraska, no running back, new coach. Now, quarterback is a new quarterback, not a new coach. The new quarterback is the Texas quarterback. So how good is he? Texas scored a lot. They were a good scoring team. The problem with Texas is they can't run and there's no defense. They don't have so they're a beautiful over team. Nebraska here, so they get the quarterback. Northwestern has a returning quarterback. I got Wisconsin, so he must have been somebody at Wisconsin, but he's a returner. But he played for Northwestern last year. Over under a 51. I don't trust Nebraska minus 12 to win the game. Northwestern stunk, but I love their coach. Nebraska, I love Scott Frost at UCF. Again, I question why you have a great program at UCF, you leave to go to Nebraska, and you're not even close to 500 there. Terrible coach. So I have Nebraska. Last year they were an E. Northwestern was a Z. Northwestern, again, a Z team doesn't score a lot and has a terrible defense. So they're the worst. That's a Z. So did they get better defensively? Well, the coach is he was a linebacker at Northwestern, All-American, really good coach. So I would think their defense would get a little bit better. Again, the quarterback is such a big key there. They like throwing the ball around. So I don't know. I don't know Nebraska's strong enough to play another Big Ten team and be 12-point favorites. 7, I would have liked Nebraska minus 1. 12, I don't like Nebraska minus 6. However, I don't bet Z teams. Now, was Northwestern a Z team this year? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see the first few weeks. They might come out on fire because the coach is pissed off and the defense all of a sudden is back to where they were 2 years ago when they were giving Ohio State all they wanted in the Big Ten championship game. So defense is something that the coach can put in and be pretty good. With the new quarterback, Nebraska is going to struggle a little bit. So this is not the 1990 Nebraska team, unfortunately. So I again have to pass. I cannot take Nebraska laying 6 and Northwestern at 18. It's so hard to play a Z team. Over under 51. Again, I have no idea. Is Northwestern going to have a better defense? Is Nebraska going to score more? There's too many question marks. I'm surprised that Frost hasn't found a quarterback in 5 years because he had Mackenzie Milton at UCF. So he's been there. Is he not recruiting a quarterback that was better than Martinez? And then Martinez finally leaves. And now he brings in a transfer from Texas. He still, in 5 years, hasn't found a quarterback. I'm scratching my head with these guys that go. See, because when you go out to the transfer portal, you're taking a third string quarterback. He's my man. If he was any good, he wouldn't be transferring. The only one that's good is the Baylor quarterback who transferred, Bohannon. He transferred. He was good at Baylor. This kid's better. This kid beat him out. That's why he's transferring. He's a senior. He wants to get drafted. So Bohannon left, but and Bohannon was very good. So he's the exception where he's very good and transferred. Same thing with the UCF. Dylan Gabriel went to Oklahoma, which I thought he was good at UCF, but he wasn't. So I'm surprised Gabriel didn't go to Nebraska. That would have made more sense than the Texas guy because UCF connection with Scott Frost. But very few of these quarterbacks, if Bohannon's getting beaten out by this kid at Baylor, I'm loving Baylor this year because they got it all. Like I said, they're a top 5 team. So is Oklahoma State, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So definitely just keep your eye on this transfer portal. But a lot like this guy, this Texas quarterback going to Nebraska, he's not the best Texas quarterback. So it's not like a steal. It's the guy's a second stringer, couldn't make it at Texas. Oh, we'll take him. I mean, I don't understand that. So I'm not going to, this is a learning week here, Nebraska Northwestern. UConn, Utah State. UConn, another Z team playing Utah State, who is very explosive. This is Arkansas State. The coach and the quarterback went to Utah State. Arkansas State was a very strong offensive team, good quarterback, who's now the Utah State quarterback. They pass for a lot. They score a lot. They're actually a B team, so they have a decent defense. A B team, they score like 30 but give up maybe 22. So their defense is okay, but it's not like an A. It's not a super strong defense. I can't make them an A. An A is like an Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. They score 35, they give up 19. This is not, and that's why I differentiate it. So when I see Utah State, I know they score in the low 30s and probably give up in the low 20s. So they have a good defense against Connecticut. I had it laying 21. They're laying 28. Over under 60. New quarterback at UConn. Again, they're a Z team. And again, now the key to this is Utah State plays Alabama the following week. Well, they know that's a loss, so they kind of have to win this game. So I kind of like Utah State, or do I like the over? I know they're going to score a lot. Connecticut has no defense. The question is, will Connecticut score? Utah State has a decent defense. I think Utah State, I think they roll here. I think they score a lot. The game's in Utah State, which is high elevation. Connecticut, their first game, new coach. I think Jim Mora is the coach, or is he the coach at UMass? I don't remember, but I think they got a new coach. And they basically stink. They're a Z team, no defense. They're not going to find a defense overnight. And Utah State with a good quarterback and a good coach who are offensive minded. So Utah State, I do like here. I do think this is an adequate play. 28, probably close to what the spread should be. Wyoming and Illinois. I have both these teams as under, both these teams with good defenses. Illinois, both have new quarterbacks. The Illinois quarterback is from Syracuse. I think it's DeVito or Doggy, one of those two. Who, again, you're getting the third string quarterback from Syracuse who got beat out. Good running. So I would think Brett Bielema. The over-under on the game's 46, and Illinois laying 11 at home. I think Wyoming, good defense. Illinois is going to run the ball. They're going to play Navy football, which is we're going to run a lot. The new quarterback probably throw a little bit. Wyoming's not going to score a lot. They don't, but they play great defense. So this is an under game, over under 46. This is probably go under 52. And think Illinois is going to run and play Navy football, a little bit of passing. Wyoming, a new quarterback on the road at Illinois, are going to play very close to the best and just probably, rely on their defense. So this probably a very good under game. Charlotte against Florida Atlantic. This game's puzzling me. Charlotte's an over. They got Reynolds, really good quarterback, against Florida Atlantic. Another returning. They have the old Miami quarterback, Nikoski Perry. Florida Atlantic I have as an even, Charlotte an over, which means Florida Atlantic's defense is a little bit better than Charlotte's. An over team means they score in the 30s, they give up in the 30s. So it's usually a high-scoring game. We look at the over-under of 57. Both quarterbacks are back, as I said. I had Charlotte laying 7, figuring Florida Atlantic has a new quarterback. The line is Florida Atlantic -7. So I immediately go to Charlotte. But I looked at Charlotte's scores from last year, and they were kind of weak. They were giving up a lot of points. They got killed by Florida Atlantic last year. So now it's taking me off of Charlotte in 13 and putting me more on the over. Charlotte will score 30 points easy with this game with Reynolds. Florida Atlantic does not have the Georgia defense, so there'll be scoring, and Florida Atlantic can score. So I like this game over, and at 57, I think should be 63-64. So there we've already got a teaser without teasing it at 57, so we tease it down to 51. And I think that's a very good way to go with this game. Because Charlotte definitely they'll score in the 30s, but they'll give you 30 back. So it's a 60-point game. You're 51. So there you go. That should be the best way to play it. I still like Charlotte plus 13 with Reynolds, but their defense is so weak, and you just that first week I don't but I think that plays probably a win or two, but I like the over more. North Texas and UTEP. North Texas wasn't over. They have a returning quarterback, but I'm saying he's a weak returning quarterback, so he's not very good, or he's more of a running quarterback. Because when I look at the stats, if he's, threw for 500 yards and 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, I go, this guy's a bad quarterback. But if he's a running quarterback, well, he's not going to throw that much, especially in college. You can get the Army, Navy guys. So North Texas 2 over UTEP. Over under 56. UTEP's quarterback's back. This one, I love UTEP on. I don't know. I'm like, okay, my line was UTEP -14. That was my initial line. Then I look, North Texas isn't over. They can score. How is North Texas favored in this game? They're favored by 2. You got to be kidding me. Take UTEP plus the 8 at home, returning quarterback. North Texas, they're not UTSA, Texas San Antonio. That's the best team in that league. I don't know. UTEP, North Texas favored on the road. Now, I'm very leery about road favorites anyway, unless it's Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State. But in this situation, I don't understand North Texas being favored at all. I think you have the wrong team favored. I like UTEP and 8. Decent offense, decent defense. They're at home. Now it is Texas against Texas, North Texas versus UTEP, which is Texas, El Paso. So it's Texas, but I still like UTEP at home. In the last game, Vandy, I had Vandy 21 over Hawaii. The spread's 7. I'm like, this is an SEC team. They're the worst SEC team, but they're still an SEC team. I don't know what this means. I said, terrible coach. Yeah, okay. They have a very weak coach. They got a returning quarterback, Vanderbilt. Hawaii's got the new coach, was the quarterback at Hawaii, and they have a new quarterback. Now, I know the quarterback from Hawaii was one of these throw the ball 80 times a game. So you're going to see a lot of you'll definitely see Hawaii as an over team. Vanderbilt is a Z. I mean, they don't have a bad coach. Quarterback was nothing special. They don't run the ball. They're laying 7 in Hawaii. Is it a vacation for them, or are they going to actually play football? The thing about Vanderbilt is they should be a little fired up because this could probably be their only win of the season playing Hawaii, because they're not going to win in the SEC. So that's what, 12 losses, which leaves them with the other non-conference games. So how motivated? Vandy should be very motivated, thinking, okay, we can win a game here. Hawaii with the new coach and a new quarterback, do they know the system well enough to actually pull off the upset? Will they score a lot? Vanderbilt doesn't score, and they have no defense. So laying the 7, now I'm confused about, is 13 enough for Hawaii? But I do see in the middle of the year, this is easy. Take Hawaii because the coach is taught, the quarterback knows what to do, But I'm not sure the first game that the quarterback and the coach are on sync. I wouldn't be surprised if the coach goes in and starts playing quarterback, except for his eligibility is done. Now, again, this guy was a very good quarterback at Hawaii, a lot of numbers. But a lot of these, they're too small is what happens. They're, 5'9", 160, and then they're too small for the pros, and that's usually what happens to these. They light it up. Like even Zapke for West Kentucky, 5th round pick in New England. I can't believe he went that he didn't go sooner. I mean, that guy, he had like 58 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Like, Jesus Christ. What do you, and I remember watching that bowl game, and he could zing it right in. Good pocket present, good passing. That guy's going to be good. So we'll see. But I don't know how to play this game. Hawaii will score and will not have defense. Can Vanderbilt score enough to get over 54? And that would be the way I'd play it, as over. But I don't really love the game, but I would think it's an over. Andrew, locks, almost football. I gave the locks, Andrew. I'll give them again. Don, I'll 1 Wyoming under, got it. Over 51, got it. Florida Atlantic, Charlotte. UTEP is a good team. Utah, well, you get 8 in UTEP unless the line moved. North Texas is laying the 2. So, yeah, you get UTEP and 8. Andrew, locks, Tampa Bay. We got McCullough today and the White Sox. Those are your baseball locks. I like the Dodgers, but I'm not locking them. So that's kind of if you want to play a 3-team parlay or whatever. I can't believe there's no teasers in baseball. I could easily see taking the Yankees over 8.5 down to Yankees over 2.5 in a teaser. That'd be interesting in baseball. I think we'd make a lot of money teasing the over-under is 6 points. But, yeah, Tampa Bay, McCullough, White Sox, Chase. That's both baseball locks. So that's week 1 of college football. I get into the real week 1, 9-1 later. I've studied that. I actually gave a lot of my analysis to that a week or 2 ago. In a past video, but I will be happy to do it again. I study my book over and over and over, especially in week 1, because I need to fully, it takes 2 or 3 reads for me. Then once the season is, it's all automatic here. So let me go through that. I'm starting with the Big 12, and I'm going to do the Big 10. Well, let me give you baseball before the games. Well, we missed the 12 o'clock Tiger game, but I wasn't going to play him anyway. Boston over 9.5. Yankees over 8.5. Atlanta under 8.5. St. Louis over 9. Baltimore over 9. The Mets under 7. Lock, Tampa Bay, McCullough. Lock, White Sox, Chase. Seattle over 8.5. Dodgers strong. Texas over 8.5, and San Diego over 8.5 in a good football game with the Vikings. That's baseball today. Did really well yesterday, and hoping to do really well today. Okay, I'm going to do the Big 12 and Big 10. Best player in the league is Dylan Doyle, the linebacker from Baylor. He used to be at Iowa. They have so many linebackers, he transfers to Baylor. He's the best player in the conference. This is why Baylor is such a strong team. Quickly looking at the all Big 12 team, the best quarterback, Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State, but look out for the Baylor quarterback. He will be there. Dylan Gabriel from UCF is the quarterback at Oklahoma. I don't know what's going on with Oklahoma. They brought in a defensive coordinator from Clemson. They're not going to run the same offense, so I don't know. JT Daniels, I do not. West Virginia, this guy sucks. He was at USC. He sucked. He got beaten out. He goes to Georgia. He sucked. He got beaten out. Now he's going to try West Virginia. Really? Don Play. Would you parlay Utah +8 over 51, Florida, Wyoming, Illinois under? I don't do – well, I do 3-team teasers. So I think that's what you're asking. I'd play it maybe small, but in the beginning, you're trying to build your bankroll. You're trying to. We don't know the teams as we know Georgia, we know Alabama, we know Ohio State, Clemson. Is going to have a great defense, and the quarterback sucks. Michigan's hurting, but we'll see. I mean, some of the teams, UCLA is going to be explosive. Miami, we think is going to be explosive if the coach doesn't fuck it up. So we have a base teams of guys from last year and, Alabama every year. But these teams, we don't know as much. Like I said, we've got new coaches in that. But you certainly could. I wouldn't play it big, but I'd play it. I like all 3 games, so you could play it like that if you want. I'll tell you when to play an 8 or 10 team teaser. That's what's on my Twitter page is my 11 and 10 team teasers that I won in Vegas a couple years ago. Everything lined up. It was the last regular season of pro football, and the ones had to win to solidify 1s and 2s in both leagues. And then I had Michigan State locked over Stanford in the Rose Bowl. I had Florida State to win the championship, and I had UCLA, and everybody won. So, but it has to be where you've got these. This is a lock. This is a lot. Like I just read you Tampa Bay and White Sox. I didn't know I was going to lock them before, and then I see the pictures. I know it's a lock. Now, if I would have if Verlander was going today, and and Scherzer for the Mets, and the Yankees had their ace going, we might have 5 locks going. And then I tell you to play a 5-team parlay, but I don't know until I look at it. I don't have it predetermined. You cannot handicap predetermined. I can handicap when I see it and when I see the line and I jump on it. Professor, what's the under you like in Illinois-Wyoming game? Well, the higher the better. I would think it would be about, it's 46, so we go under 52. I think that's probably good. Illinois doesn't score a lot, even with Allen there, who I thought sucked in college. Even with him there, they didn't score a lot. They always play defense. Their coach is more of a defensive coach, and they are going to play. They don't turn it over a lot, and they play defense. So a lot comes down to their coach. They're going to hold Illinois, and it wouldn't be surprising if they beat Illinois because Bielema sucks, but he's playing Wisconsin football there where he's got a running back. So look for this guy to run a lot. He's not going to gain the 200 yards against the Wyoming team that he might gain against Indiana or Purdue, or something like that. So I think that under's fine. If you can keep it under, 46, you go under 52. I think that should be a W. Again, Illinois, neither team are explosive, and they seem to both have pretty good defenses. So, that first, like if you look after when they do the bowl games, right, why is it so slow in the first half? Because the timing's off on the passing. And the timing's going to be off on the passing, so you can run. So they're going to both run. They're both going to play defense, be low-scoring first half, and then they'll open it up in the second half, but I don't think they'll get to 52. So, I don't have a problem under 52 in that. So anyway, so let's go back to the Big 12. Again, Gabriel going to Oklahoma. He's a good quarterback, but again, I don't know what Oklahoma's going to look like with this new defensive coach. And Daniel sucks. I don't. He's terrible. We'll go to Baylor. They get a new quarterback, Blake Shapen. And Blake Shapen is so good, he beat out Bohannon, who was very good last year. Bohannon won us the Ole Miss game. Well, he won us the Oklahoma State game, and then he won us the Ole Miss game. And he's a very good quarterback. I got a very good, as I pointed out, Dylan Doyle, the best All-American linebacker at Baylor from Iowa. They got a good enough defense, good coach. Baylor is a top 5 team, balanced offense. And again, it's a new quarterback, but he played last year and he beat out Bohannon. So he's a very good one. Strong defense. They're an A team. They score 31 a game. They gave up 18. What I loved about them was their balanced offense. They ran for 219 and they passed for 203. And that is exactly what you're looking for when you find that they're going to be a top 10 team, no matter who they are, because to be balanced like that, you try playing defense against that. You can't. No matter what you do, they're going to do. You stack the box, he throws. You play back, they run. And they do it very nicely. Their runner, Abraham Smith, ran for 1,600 yards. I bet nobody ever heard of the guy. I can't tell you where he got drafted. All I can tell you is he's not there anymore. And I'm sure he's in the NFL somewhere. And you watch, he's going to have big days. You're going to go, who the hell is Abraham Smith? And he played for Baylor. Oh, by the way, he ran for 1,600 yards and 12 touchdowns. So he's gone. They don't have a strong runner. Their best runner is this Tay McWilliams, 17 carries, 181. But to show you, Abraham Smith ran it 257 times. And then their next one, Treston Ebner, ran it 148 times. So they run the ball. So let's see what McWilliams does with that. But I'm sure they brought in some running backs. You start putting up, going to big bowl games. They beat both. This is what I love about them. Baylor against Oklahoma won 27-14. Baylor against Oklahoma State won 21-16. Baylor against Texas won 31-24. That's it. That's what they beat Texas. They beat Oklahoma and Oklahoma State last year. And the funny part is the only loss came to fucking TCU at TCU. So we're a little bit weaker on the road, but in the Big 12, the home team has a huge advantage here. Very hard to win on the road anyway, but Baylor, absolutely top 5. Anytime we get them as a dog, will probably be a lock, especially if it's against this Oklahoma team. Oklahoma State is the number 2 team here. Keep your eye on that. Next team is Iowa State. They lost one of their best quarterbacks, Brock Purdy. I don't know if he got drafted. He's a very good quarterback, but it was the style of offense. He threw for 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions last year. They have a sophomore this year, Hunter Dirkers. It was 20 of 36, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. They like to run the ball, but their best runner, Breece Hall, when you hear him on Sunday, you're going to go, who the hell is that? He was the Iowa State running back who was great, 20 touchdowns. He definitely will make a statement on Sunday. So we're going to keep an eye on where those 2 guys are and if they're playing. I can't believe the Raiders, they get the best running back in the country, the guy from UTSA, Sinceri, and I always have trouble with his last name. And the guy's great. He's the best runner. The Raiders draft him and they put him on IR. Dude, you got the best runner in the fucking league and you're putting him on IR. He's not even hurt. He's a rookie. What are you doing? Here's a chance to have, with Carr and your receivers, have a threat in the backfield that the defense won't know how to handle, and they put him on IR. This is why the Raiders do not win, because they do not have any intelligence. So keep your eye on that guy, but you won't see him until a year from now. And then you're going to say the same thing I just said. Why the hell did they put him on IR? As far as I know, he's not injured. He's just a rookie. So Iowa State, new quarterback, great coach, strong defense, an under team. They scored 31 last year and 20 on defense, so they're a very strong defensive team. Now, you lose your quarterback, you lose your 1,600-yard running back. We got to wait and see how the new quarterback is and a new running back. So I'm sure he'll be okay, but they've never been explosive, but they have a great defense. So this is an Iowa State is a very good defensive team. They play the Iowa game on the 10th, and that should be an under game, and we'll keep an eye on that over-under. Please let it be 50, and then that's our first lock if we get that game under. Well, not our first lock, but it'll be a lock. Andrew, Syracuse Orange. Okay, what about Syracuse Orange? Do you have a question or what about them? Did I pick them? They're not playing the first week. What's the question, Andrew? Syracuse Orange. They're not playing. I did mention the quarterback went there. Analyze. Okay, I'll analyze them as soon as I'm done with the Big 12. Kansas. Defense will add. What the fuck? I don't know. I don't know here about their defense, but I don't know. Good coach from Buffalo. Will approve. Okay. So they let up 42 points a game last year, as we know. Kansas, one of the Z teams, brought in Lance Leopold, who was the Buffalo coach, who was like one of these Division II where he won the title every year, but you don't know who he is. And then he comes and he moves up a notch. And he was good at Buffalo, I think. He was either at Buffalo or Wyoming. I think he was at Buffalo. Buffalo won the MAC a couple times. Now he moved on to Kansas. Buffalo stinks, by the way, so we get away from Buffalo. We used to lock Buffalo with this guy and win all the time. So he's at Kansas. They scored 20 a game, gave up 42. I look for them to have a better defense because he's a good coach. He's a defensive coach. They have a running quarterback, Daniels, Jalen Daniels. He's a junior. 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he ran for 83 yards. Why is he the quarterback? They have another quarterback, Jason Bean, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, which explains why Kansas sucks all the time. So I'll look for Leopold to turn him around a little. This is a Z team. I still have them as, they give up 40 a game, so this is probably an over. Now, their one thing is they switched quarterbacks is what happened. So the last 3 games of the year, they went to this Jalen Daniels, and they go to Texas and win 57-56 in overtime. Then they play TCU 31-28, and then they play West Virginia 34-28. That's why he's the quarterback. So he plays 3 games. All of a sudden, they score a lot more. That's what skews the statistics. Vegas still has them as a 20-point team, but with this guy, they're a 40-point team, and that's the difference. So we're going to keep our eye on Kansas over. Their defense still won't be able to stop a high school team, but this quarterback seems to know what he's doing. Yeah, 7 touchdowns and 3 picks in 3 games. So let's keep an eye on this Daniels. Hopefully he's good, and that Kansas can be a surprise team for us. Getting 28, and they cover, like against Oklahoma, they'll be getting 35, but Oklahoma doesn't have that explosive offense. This guy's a good quarterback. Let's see. They open with Tennessee Tech, then they go to at Virginia. So if they're getting points from West Virginia, let's say they're getting 24 with JT Daniels, who sucks, Kansas could easily cover against West Virginia. I'm not saying they're going to win, and they're going to give up points, but they're going to score points on West Virginia. So that's what we keep an eye on. Kansas State, I got him as a B team. That's Hu Martinez. So the Nebraska quarterback who played 4 years for Nebraska is now playing year 5 for Kansas State. Now they run a good offense. They run the option offense. They have a good running back, Deuce Vaughn. pretty good team. They scored 27 a game, gave up 21. So you're looking at a team with a good defense. And now they got Martinez, who's a good runner, and this Vaughn's a good runner. I don't think they'll score much more. I don't think Martinez, I think he's not as good as we thought he was going to be because he's played as a freshman at Nebraska. And if you can't score, see, this is the problem. Frost has Mackenzie Milton, and Mackenzie Milton lights it up, and Frost looks great. And that's always my contention with Belichick. He has Brady, he looks great. Brady's the great one. Then he gets rid of Brady, and he doesn't do anything, and that's the same thing here. Frost goes to Nebraska without Mackenzie Milton and doesn't do anything. So Martinez is a quarterback, but he's an option quarterback. It's not what he wants. They don't want option quarterbacks. They want drop back passers like Milton. Milton could run a little. He's like Mahomes, great passer. And if he needed to run, he'd run, but he wasn't a running quarterback. And there's a big difference. So Kansas State, very strong team, a good B team, good defense. They hang in there. So they played Oklahoma 37-31. They lost 33-20 to Iowa State. They lost to Baylor 20-10 and lost to Texas 22-17. The point is they lose close. Jesus Christ, they killed LSU. I think LSU played, none of their players played in the bowl game, and they beat them 42-20. But so they played Texas, Oklahoma State, and Baylor, and they were pretty close games. That's Kansas, right? They're going to play close games. They have Oklahoma's number for the last few years where they would beat them. Just running their option offense, Oklahoma couldn't handle it, and that's what they do. So I look for that. The coach has been there 3 years, so I think we see what we got. They're a good team. They're not going to win a lot, but they're a good team, and I don't think Martinez hurts them, but he doesn't help them. Oklahoma, what do you do with this? All right, as I said, Gabriel, the UCF quarterback, is now their quarterback. Rattler and the other guy moved on. The other guy, Caleb Williams. They both moved on. Rattler's at South Carolina. And of course, Williams is at USC. And the coach runs. What does that tell you? The coach runs to USC. The quarterback, what loyalty runs to USC? No heart at all. So now they got Gabriel. It was good at UCF, but that's different competition. I think Baylor and Oak State are going to kill Oklahoma. Venables, does he know how to coach? I mean, he's a defensive coach at Clemson, which is basically me and you could coach Clemson's defense with all the talent and speed. It's just, they put pressure on the quarterback. Well, they don't have the defense to do it. This team let up 25 points a game. They scored 39. Well, the scoring's going to go down because they don't have a quarterback. And are they going to run the same offense? I'm sure he brought in his own coordinators. They don't know how to run the Oklahoma offense. They don't have the players to run it. So this is going to be interesting what's going to happen. I guess they're going to run the UCF offense is what I got in my notes. Definitely an over and Gabriel. So this looks like an over team. They're gonna run UCF's offense, which is more of a passing. The defense, I don't know. He doesn't have the players to run his defense, so this would be an interesting thing. I look for Oklahoma being a lot of high-scoring games this year. Oklahoma State, another top 5 team, them and Baylor, as I've mentioned. Spencer Sanders, very good quarterback, 2,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 12 picks. Not very spectacular, not as good as Bohannon, or some of the other guys I've been noting. But he's a good, solid quarterback. He's a winner. He's the one that came back. We had it locked against Notre Dame. I think we had a few points and came back. We're down big and won 37-35. That's Spencer's. That's what I look for in a quarterback. The game he's down, and yet he comes on and he beats Notre Dame in the bowl game with the new coach and everything else. And Notre Dame has a big lead, and they were a pretty good team. Although their safety sat out, which is another reason I locked it, but Kelly left again. I hate that when the coach leaves at the bowl game. Are you serious? the season's not over. Where are you going? What are you going to do with LSU? So that's what I love about him. He came from behind to beat Notre Dame. They did lose to Baylor, but that's Baylor. That's the difference. They did beat Oklahoma. They did beat Texas. So he beat Baylor the first time, 24-14. Funny thing is he loses at Iowa State 24-21 after the Texas game. Then they killed Kansas. Then they killed TCU. And then they beat Oklahoma 37-33. And in the championship, lose to Baylor 21-16. I think Baylor got a late touchdown. And then he beats Notre Dame 37-35. I'm very comfortable with this team. Defense gives up 18 a game. Offense scores 31 and A-team, a top 5 team. Them and Baylor and Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State are your top 5. Maybe UCLA gets in there. I don't know if they have the defense. This is what you look for. They open up against Central Michigan. And what is that line? And we'll have to look at how good is Central Michigan. Oak State, Oklahoma. Here they are. I have them laying 24 to Central. They're laying 21. Over under 59. My notes are both teams are returning quarterbacks. Strong running for Central. They ain't going to run on Oak State's defense. And Sanders can definitely pull it out. So we'll see. But I think Oak State, like Baylor, is not a team you fuck around with and you play overs on. They have very good defenses. They're very balanced. Same thing here. Oak State ran for 185 yards and threw for 231. Very balanced team. Very key. Their best runner, Warren, ran for 1,200 yards. I bet nobody knew that. Spencer Sanders, the quarterback, was their second leading runner. So I don't love that because it leads to injuries. They got Dominic Richardson. He carried 79 times for 373 last year. Warren, their leading rusher, ran for 256, and Spencer Sanders 146. So it shows you they run the ball enough. And I look for that. I look for this Richardson to carry the ball to 250. He'll take the load from Warren. And probably there's this Ollie Gordon, a freshman. He's probably very good because they're going to get good recruits because they're a strong team. Everybody wants to go to a winner. So they should be fine. Their defense, they got 5 guys back. But again, defensively, you play everybody because it's an emotional thing. So you play a couple of series and the other guys come in. So it's not like they don't know how to play. So I never really worry about a defense. TCU, they got a new coach. I can't believe Goldsmith left. It's unbelievable. He was there like 20 years. He was there when they were Mountain West. And I used to make a fortune on TCU and Utah in the Mountain West. They'd cover every week. They were so explosive. Sonny Dykes, the Texas Tech coach, and this guy just air raid. He's a Mike Leach guy. So TCU is going to throw and throw and throw. They scored 28 and gave up 34. They are now an over team because they're going to score, and they do not have a defense, and this guy's not going to put one in. They open at Colorado, and they got SMU. At SMU, if the over-under is less than 80, we are locking TCU SMU over because neither team has a defense, and they both score a lot. So we're definitely circling the September 24th TCU SMU. We pray it's 70. If it's 70 or 71, it's a lock. We're going over. But again, it's you got to be careful. Like this is the thing. If it's 85, I can't go over 85, even though the game I figure will be 100. But you can't go over it. Max Duggan is the quarterback. He's played before. He was 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and they didn't have much running. So you can see the problems they have. Decent receivers, but they'll be revamped and they'll be an over team. Texas. Sarkisian. I do not like Sarkisian, the USC coach. I'm sorry. He is not. I don't know. This is the drunk guy at Alabama. I don't. why would you hire this guy? 5-7 with Texas's talent. There's a problem at Texas is they don't run the ball. They don't understand. So they want to be a passing team, which takes away from your defense and your running. So if we look at Casey Thompson, the guy who just went to I can't remember. He's the Texas quarterback. 165 for 261, 24 touchdowns and 9 picks. And this is he went to Nebraska. So this is your guy. You got 24 touchdowns and 9 picks. They did have a decent runner, Bijan Robinson, 11-27. He's back. So I will look for the new coach to use him. Well, he's not the new coach, but his second year. So I look for him to run more and a decent receiver. So who is their new quarterback? Quinn Ewers, a freshman, probably a talented in high school freshman. That doesn't make him a talented college freshman. They open up at Louisiana Monroe, who we know sucks, and then they go to Alabama. Please, God, let it be under 28, and we will be jumping all over Alabama. Texas has no chance in that. So basically, they score 35, but they give up 31. They're a pure over team. They're not going to score 35 on Alabama, but they will give up 40 to Alabama. That's for sure. Their defense isn't going to get any better. They're just an over team. So it was beautiful. You'd play the Texas-Oklahoma game over. You'd play Texas and Texas Tech over and Texas and SMU over. Now you got Alabama over. They play UTSA, which I'll take UTSA. I think they'll beat them. They got Texas Tech. There's another lock over on the 24. We got 2 locks on the 24th already. 2 lock overs. So be prepared. Texas Tech, the 24th. We're going to bet it over unless it's 80. And that's it. So Texas, an over team, no defense. Texas Tech gets a new coach. He is Baylor. From Baylor, I think. He was the Baylor coach, but they're going to run the Western Kentucky offense, which is another Mike Leach air raid offense. They score a ton. They scored 30 last year, gave up 30. Another over team. They open with Murray State, then they go to Houston, over North Carolina State. That'll be an over. Texas an over. Forget Oklahoma State will kill them. West Virginia, Baylor, look out. TCU an over. Oklahoma possibly an over. So you can see the lack of defense in the Big 12. So this is definitely Texas Tech. Another over, and running Western Kentucky's offense. Question is, do they have a quarterback? Tyler Show. Now, I have heard of him. I think he got injured. He did play a little last year, 64 out of 92 for 6 touchdowns and 3 picks. Probably just played a few games, but I look for this to be explosive again. All passing, so they'll have their moments. West Virginia. All right, West Virginia, weak secondary, weak coach, E-team, new quarterback, Daniels, very weak, my notes. So West Virginia had Dana Holmgren, the coach. They were very competitive. They scored a lot. He went to Houston. Now Houston's starting to get very good. West Virginia, did they beat anybody last year? They beat Virginia Tech. TCU was weak. Iowa State somehow, Oak State killed them 24-3. They beat Texas, and they beat Kansas 34-28. And Baylor killed them 45-20. Oklahoma, they played very well, 16-13 somehow. I think that's when Spencer Rattler threw about 10 interceptions, and that's when he got benched. So their good win was Iowa State somehow, and then Texas. So they're somewhat competitive. They score 25 a game, give up 23. So they're probably going to be more of an under. This J.T. Daniels stinks. They're secondary. So against passing teams, look out. So the first one will be Texas on the first, and we'll see about Kansas. Pitt, I do like with Slovis. I told you the USC quarterback. So I look for Pitt to beat them up. But they do have a decent defense, 23 games. So They're going to probably be more of another E team or an under. I would think that would get a little bit better. Let's see. Jarrett Doggy, I think he moved to Illinois or something. He was the one who was at Syracuse, and he was at Bowling Green when they were explosive. It wasn't bad. The runner moved on. They got no running and not much. So they're probably a pretty good defensive team, not a great offensive team. That is the Big 12. Let me go do the I think I did. Didn't I do Syracuse yesterday? Aren't they ACC? Yes. Syracuse. Shame on you, Andrew. You didn't watch yesterday's video with I did the ACC. Okay, Dino Barbers. I got returning quarterback, strong running, Tucker. I don't know what Tucker means. Tucker's the runner. So with Syracuse, what you have is a 1,500-yard rusher. You've got Garrett Schrader, the quarterback, weak, 9 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, 234 attempts. He does run a little bit. I looked for Syracuse. They scored 24, gave up 26. Dino Barbers was a very strong offensive coach at Bowling Green, and they won the MAC a couple times. He moves on to Syracuse. Doesn't have an explosive offense here. His best game last year was Clemson. They lost to Clemson 17-14, and the key was they scored 14 points on that defense. But holding Clemson to 17 was nothing considering their quarterback sucks. Pitt killed them. North Carolina State killed them. They beat Albany. How's that? And they beat Ohio, and they beat Liberty. So the best team they beat was Virginia Tech, 41-36, and that was it. So I don't know what they are. They're really not an explosive offense. They don't have they actually have a good runner. I would think they'd be a running team, probably a little bit more. The defense at 26 is a little high. They're not. They open against Louisville. I would think Louisville is going to beat them. And that was it. Shame on you, Andrew. Watch my yesterday video. My baseball was very strong yesterday. I didn't have Toronto, but they did get the win at the end there. The Tigers brought in a pitcher from, I think it was at the high school game last week. Gave up a 3-run homer, and that was the game. Anyway, Big Ten. Here we go. Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers, and Indiana in the East and the West. Wisconsin, Purdue, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, Illinois, Northwestern. So your Z's are Indiana and Northwestern are your weak teams, but I think Rutgers is pretty weak. And your best team, of course, is Ohio State. Now, keep in mind, Ohio State is pissed off. This happened a few years ago when Notre Dame had a bad season. And they came back storming, and I think they got into the playoff. Shouldn't have, but they did. When a team like Alabama, Ohio State, somebody like that has a bad year and doesn't make the playoffs, they are pissed off. And they come in motivated. And when a team like Ohio State, Alabama comes in motivated, Alabama not as much. They did make the championship game, but they had no chance against Georgia, not with that defense. Ohio State wouldn't have done anything anyway. I mean, Michigan lit up Ohio State, so that's another revenge game that we're going to have a lot of money on is Ohio State over Michigan. But Ohio State will be pissed. So let's get into it. The Big Ten, all Big Ten teams. Stroud, the quarterback from Ohio State, which I question. Aiden O'Connell is the second quarterback at Purdue, and the third is Tagliavua from Maryland, which I do not see at all. Again, in the big games, he doesn't show up. A lot of interceptions, like the Iowa game. In the, against the weaker teams, he shows up. So I don't believe this is right. Maybe the Purdue quarterback. I don't even know about that. The best runner is a guy from Wisconsin, which I don't know about. Henderson from Ohio State. Then Chase Brown, Illinois. He's the running back I told you about. Mohamed Ibrahim from Minnesota is very good. And then Hall from Northwestern and some Broussard from Michigan State. So Michigan State's going to miss their All-American running back. And again, let's see where that guy went. I don't understand the pros sitting there going, oh, you can't draft a running back. Why would you want that? Because it wins fucking games if you have a running back. What are you going to do when you get the ball at the 15-yard line in the pros and you can't possibly throw the ball in the red zone for a touchdown unless you do one of these stupid fade patterns that never work? What are you going to do? If you can run, nobody can. It's a touchdown, right? If you have a good running attack inside the 10, there's no way they can stop you, right? They can put 8 in the box, but then you can maybe play action and do a Dave Casper. But there's no way you can pass it in the pros with that defense. You've got to run the ball. So I don't understand this. Well, let's not waste money on a running back. Incredibly stupid. That change I do not understand. And that's why you have so many bad teams in the NFL. They don't want to run. They just want to, and everybody runs the same offense. It's just stupid. Defensively, now here's one thing I noticed looking at Michigan defensively. One, two. They have 3 guys on defense in the all Big Ten, first, second, and third teams. 3. Ohio State, for example, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ohio State has 5. Michigan, right there, that tells you a whole lot. Iowa has a few. Hell, Iowa has 5. So that just shows you the defensive teams. Wisconsin, 1, 2. Wisconsin with only 2. So when you think they're a good defensive team and they can't place 5 guys on the all Big Ten list, you know they got problems. So let's get into it. Ohio State will be pissed. Indiana scored 17 a game, give up 33. They're a Z team right away. They had Penix, who was supposed to be a good quarterback, who sucked. He's moved on. I think he's on Oregon or somewhere. We'll find him later on. They've got Connor Bazelak, the Missouri quarterback, transferred. So if you're taking a Missouri quarterback who got beaten out, you got trouble. They have new offensive and defensive coordinators, which always takes time to adjust. Sort of like a new job or a new house. You need that adjustment period. Tom Allen, you might as well have Tim Allen as your coach. He'd probably be funnier. They open against Illinois, then Idaho and Western Kentucky, who I couldn't believe they beat Western Kentucky, but I think that was one of our locks. We had Western Kentucky in like 10 points or 9 points, and we got the win late. And then that was it. And that was the only team they beat. That was Division I, was Western Kentucky. Indiana is on their way out and down, and we're going to be betting against them a lot. Not much to say. Same coach, new coordinators. Like, oh, that'll make the difference. No, you need players, and you have a quarterback. So maybe they get a little bit more scoring, but weak defense. Maryland, again, no quarterback. Tagliabue, again, he transfers from Alabama because he wasn't any good. He's not any good. This is not a quarterback you bet on. Iowa 51-14, they lose. Ohio State 66-17, Minnesota 34-16, Penn State 31-14, Michigan State 40-21, and Michigan 59-18. I just named you 6 big games, and the guy doesn't show up in any of them. He beat Howard. He beat Illinois 20-17. He beat Kent State, Indiana 38-35, and Rutgers. The guy didn't beat anybody. I don't understand why they think he's a good quarterback. So he's lousy. You cannot trust him. He's like one of these pitchers we talk about that is like, they're 3-9 with a 4.0 ERA, and you're like, why are they in the majors? I don't get this guy. He threw for 3,800 yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 picks. And 11 picks were mostly in the Iowa game. I think he threw 5. Sorry. So they score 29 and give up 30. So they're basically an over type of team. Yeah, Maryland, they'll score with this guy, but they don't have a defense. They don't rest. They don't have a running back. Their best runner last year ran for 700 yards, so there's nothing there. So it's all him, and he's not a very good interception. So anytime they face a good defense, you bet against Maryland. Let's say they open with Buffalo, then he'll shine. Charlotte will be a high-scoring game. SMU will be a really high-scoring game. And then at Michigan, they won't show up. So, again, depending on that. So they go Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, September 24th, October 1st. So we'll be locking against them probably all three games. Then they got November, Wisconsin, Penn State, and Ohio State. So there's 6 losses right there. They'll be lucky to beat SMU. They'll be lucky to beat Charlotte. They'll probably beat Indiana. Purdue will probably beat them. And then maybe they can beat Rutgers. So terrible, just not much there at Maryland. Michigan, they lost their stud running back, Hassan Hatkins, 1,300 yards. And they had Blaine Corum, who ran for 950. This is what Michigan did. Haskins had 20 touchdowns and Corum 11. The quarterback only threw for 15, 6 picks, 2,500 yards. So Michigan basically went to Navy, right? We're gonna run an Army, Navy, run, throw a little bit, and they had a decent defense because they ran the ball. So when you run and you tire out the defense and your defense rests, all of a sudden you got this good defense. They gave up 17 points. So they scored 35 and gave up 17. Now, they got Corum at the runner. Now, Haskins ran it 270 times. Corum 144. Will Corum run it for 270 times? McNamara's back as the quarterback, as is their backup McCarthy, who's terrible. He's more of a runner, but he ran for 124 yards last year, so he's not any good. McNamara, I don't think is any good either. Corum's going to run the ball. And then their backup, Donovan Edwards, who ran 35 times for 107. So they're going to probably just run the ball again. Defensively, Hutchinson, he was okay. I don't think he's the number 2 pick in the draft. And they again have a new defensive coordinator, which is going to hurt them. So I don't know what to say. I mean, I got weak defense. They lost a lot on defense and a new defensive coordinator. Returning quarterbacks weak. So they're basically just going to be Army, Navy, right? They're going to run the ball. They should still have a decent defense, although, again, they got a new defensive coordinator. Harbaugh, I don't understand why he keeps changing offensive and defensive coordinators. Like, why don't you just fucking use what you did at San Francisco? I mean, you won with nothing there. You had this great defense, and you had Kaepernick, who was basically a running quarterback. He could throw a little bit. He wasn't anything special. You ran the ball, and you played defense. Why he got away from that, that's what he did last year, and they were able to beat Ohio State. They had no chance against Georgia, of course, but that's the thing. So when I look at it, that's what I'm looking at. Basically a running team. I doubt they'll score 35, but we'll see. They open with Colorado State, Hawaii, and UConn and Maryland. So they got 4 easy games. Then they go at Iowa is going to be a loss. Then they get Penn State, Michigan State, and of course they end with Ohio State. So they don't have a lot of tough teams. 3, 4 easy wins, and then they'll lose at Iowa. They always lose at Iowa because they get out coached. Because they try to run it, and Iowa's got that great defense, so they're just going to run into a wall, and then McNamara's going to have to throw, and he can't. So look for that. That'll be a nice under game for us, Michigan at Iowa. It's usually like 17-16 or something. So Colorado State should be an easy. They're going to run it down their throats. Michigan State. Now they lost. Kenneth Walker ran for 1,600 yards and 18 touchdowns, and he won the Michigan game for us. We had Michigan State. I don't know if we locked it or not. We were getting, I don't know, 10, 11 points, and they were down like 14, and you're like, and then he scored again. We had the lead. The final, Michigan State 37, Michigan 33. I loved it. I love that game. So Michigan State, they lost. See, no, here again is my emotional point. So what is it? What happened? So Michigan State beats Michigan at home 37-33, have a party. Oh my God, we beat them. Then the next week they go at Purdue and lose 40-29. That always happens, especially at Purdue. At home against Purdue, maybe they can win. You're going at Purdue after you just beat Michigan or Ohio State. You don't have a chance. Emotionally, you cannot get fired up to win that second week. You get sky high. We're going to beat Michigan. We got to beat Michigan. And there's so much focus on that, so much adrenaline, and it's always this hard-fought game. And you win it, and now you let off the steam. Yes, we won. You cannot get that back next week unless you're playing, the NFL playoffs or something. And even then, when the Raiders beat Miami in 74, they could not get up for the Steelers. And the Steelers, that was their first Super Bowl. They got extremely lucky that Oakland played Miami, and they didn't have. If Pitt would have played either, let's say Miami went to Pitt and they played this emotional game, and Pitt wins, and then they had to go to Oakland, and Oakland played, New England or whatever. They never would have won. They could not beat Miami, travel to Oakland and won. They never would have. But because Oakland played Miami in such an emotional game and the way they won it, Oakland, it was all over because Oakland couldn't get up for the Steelers. Even though it was the Steelers, even though it was a championship game to get to the Super Bowl, they had no chance because Pitt was pissed off because Oakland said that was the greatest game. They were the best two teams. And Pittsburgh's like, excuse me, have you seen us? Even though with Bradshaw, who sucked, by the way. So that's what happened. So Michigan State. So look at them. They open with Western. They got at Washington, Ohio State, Wisconsin. Ooh, that's a tough run. So October, they got a home against Ohio State, home against Wisconsin, at Michigan. At Illinois is going to be a tough game for them because they're going to get fired up for those three. And then here comes at Illinois after playing Michigan, especially if they win at Michigan. They will have nothing left for Illinois. And then if they lose to Illinois, they'll kill Rutgers. So after a loss, which I like to look at, then they get all pissed off, right? So Michigan State last year, after losing to Purdue, kills Maryland. Then they play Ohio State. They don't have a chance. Then they beat Penn State. And then the bowl game against Pitt doesn't count because Walker didn't play and Pickett didn't play. And I hate when the players, you play all year, you can get hurt. They could have got hurt against Penn State, but Walker played. He wasn't worried about getting hurt then. The bowl game comes, I better not play. I might get hurt. What the fuck is that? I'm sorry. You can't sit there and play football. Worry about getting injured? Are you serious? You just played Maryland, Ohio State, Penn State. You played. Now the bowl game and you don't play because you might get injured. Then why are you playing in the NFL? You might get injured in the NFL. Unbelievable. So Michigan State, strong passing offense. The quarterback and Reed, high school teammates, are very successful together. Reed caught 59 for 1,000 yards. Thorne, 388, 27 touchdowns and 10 picks. I look for this team to score a lot. Their defense gave up 25. I think we'll get a little bit better. I'm not sure about Mel Tucker, but he looked pretty good last year, so let's give him a little bit. Who they replaced Walker with, they don't have another running back who's any good. Broussard, I don't even see him last year, so I don't know if he came in, he's from Colorado. Well, they don't have a good running attack, so we'll see. Although they got Walker from Wake Forest. Imagine Wake Forest put up 50 a game with Hartman if they would have had Walker, because that's where he came from. Oh, my God. That would have been a hell of an offense. But you wonder why he didn't do that at Wake Forest the year before. Anyway, so Michigan State, solid team, strong team. I have them, they're a B. They scored 31, give up 25. Let's see if they can be an A. They should score more. Will their defense show up? They need to be able to run the ball. They ran 175 and passed for 253. So we need to see what is going on. Will they be able to run as much, or they're going to be past 300 and run 110? That's what you don't want. But if they can run the ball, they'll be very explosive. They'll be in the games. And then let's see. They need to run to rest their defense. So let's see. And it wears the other defense down. Ohio State. That's the thing. Like, if you run 3 plays and throw a touchdown like Dan Fouts did on the Chargers or Marino, the defense doesn't really get tired. We're on the field 3 plays. Okay, we're still well rested. Their defense is going to get tired because we just ran it down their throats. 8, 10 plays, took 6 minutes off the clock. You throw a 3-play drive. We're still rested. Now we're going to put another 8-play drive on you, and your defense just got tired. Ohio State, A team, top 5, scored 45 last year, gave up 22. I like to see the defense get a little better. Stroud, 44 touchdowns and 6 picks. It's all system. Henderson is back, the running back, 1,200 yards. This Jackson Smith enigma, everybody's, caught 95 for 16. But first of all, you had Wilson, who caught 70 for 1,000 yards, and you had Olave. And I was a little upset Olave went so low with 936. Well, obviously, they were double teaming Olave, and this Smith Ngaba was man on man. Well, guess what? He's going to be double teamed this year, and he'll have Olave number 65 for 936. So they need another receiver. Let's see, Julian Fleming and Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe Marvin Harrison from the Colts will play too. A couple of freshmen. So I'm not worried about Ohio State. They're going to run the ball, and the question is their defense should be stronger. They open with Notre Dame, and the spread on this game is I have Ohio State -10 is -14. A new coach I don't really like. Over under 57. I love Ohio State in that game. 14 down to 8. Notre Dame has no chance. I think the game's at Ohio. Well, let's see. Yeah, the game's at Ohio State. Notre Dame with a new coach and a new quarterback is in trouble. They lost their All-American safety. He graduated. You don't have Brian Kelly. Now, there was a thing on Lombardi, and the guy said if Lombardi played Tom Landry, so if Green Bay played Dallas in 10 Super Bowls, and it was Lombardi against Tom Landry, Lombardi would win all 10. And you're like, really? He says, because Lombardi was a better motivator. He got the team fired up, and they were not going to lose to Dallas. I don't know if they would have won all 10 because they almost lost the Ice Bowl. However, that is key. And Brian Kelly has to be a much better motivator than the guy they got and a much better coach. So Notre Dame's not going to be that strong, but only 8 points for Ohio State. Pissed off. Quarterback's back. Running backs there. All-American receivers there. I look for them to kill Notre Dame. So Ohio State, very strong. Again, as long as Stroud's there, look for explosive. Penn State's an under team, returning quarterback, no running game, and a new defensive coordinator. Sean Clifford, 261 out of 428, 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So, okay, nothing special. No runner. Kevon Lee, 108 yards, or 108 attempts, 530 yards. So they don't have the running game that they need unless they're doing short passes. New defensive coordinator, Manny Diaz, formerly the head coach at Miami, where he sucked and the defense sucked. So I don't understand that. Franklin. So I don't know. They scored 25 a game, gave up 17. Um, I don't know. Against good teams, they'll probably give up. They open at Purdue. I can see Purdue scoring a lot more than 17 in that game. They got to play Auburn, and they got Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State. Not too bad. They avoid Iowa and Wisconsin, so they got a pretty easy schedule. They got Purdue, Minnesota out of the other side of the Big Ten. So they avoid Iowa and Wisconsin. So they're okay. You got the quarterback. Maybe they score more than 25, but again, they don't have a running attack. They're not a great team. They're a good team. The defense will probably get better. Rutgers stinks. New quarterback. They're very young. They're an under team with Shiano. They score 19, give up 25. Maybe that comes down a little bit. They just don't have offense. The quarterback sucks. Well, they got a new one. Gavin Winsmith, a sophomore. Vardell threw 7 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and he's a senior, and they're not even going with that guy. No running. Their best runner last year ran for 600 yards. So he's got no running, no quarterback, no offense. That's why they scored 1,900 or 19 points a game. And their defense, Shiano is going to have nice defenses, give up 25. So I don't know. I look at it as, just a weak team, but they'll be a good defensive team. So that'll help. Illinois, we talked about an under. DeVito is the quarterback from Syracuse. And Bielema basically stinks after what he did at Arkansas. Wisconsin was decent. Goes to Arkansas is terrible. Now he's here and he's terrible. 5-7 last year. They scored 20 and gave up 21. So they're going to be an under team. They're going to run. They got a good running back. This Chase Brown, 1,000 yards. Not a good quarterback. Well, DeVito's okay, but he didn't light it up for Syracuse last year. So look for this under team. Iowa, strong under team, although they lost their running back, Goodson, 1,100 yards last year. They don't, they'll, whoever will come in. That's what they do in college. There's always somebody. Quarterback, Spencer Petras was good. 10 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. See, this is the problem. They look good, but then they only get 10 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And that, when I point out these other quarterbacks who throw for 30 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, like the kid at Oak State was like 30 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. That's the difference between the top 5 team and Iowa. Good defense, gave up 19. That'll be strong. Scored 23. Just another typical Big Ten under team. Decent quarterback. They'll try to run it. Not a lot on the receivers. Good defense. Again, they play defense. Great coach and Ferentz. Minnesota. Not sure on the coach. This is the Western Michigan row the boat coach. They scored 25, give up 17. Another good defensive team. Tanner Morgan's back. 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. See, when you look at the stats, you go, this guy sucks. But when you hear the name or something, you go, oh, this is a good quarterback. That's why you go to the stats. 10 and 9, you say, this guy sucks. How does he only throw 10 touchdowns? And then he throws, so he's being careful, but then he throws 9 interceptions. The running back's gone. Ibrahim, he's back. Where is he? I don't know where he is. They don't show him in the stats, but he's a good one. Well, he got injured, I think, so maybe he didn't play last year. He was really good 2 years ago. So good running back, weak quarterback. Defense strong at 17. They open it with New Mexico State, Western Illinois, tough team. Colorado, and then they get Michigan State, Purdue, Penn State. They avoid Michigan. They got Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, so they close hard. Any good wins last year? They lost Iowa, and they beat Wisconsin, actually. So one good win. So that's what you need is that confidence win. But they don't play Ohio State or Michigan. They do play Michigan State and Penn State. So they got a break in the schedule, but they're not that bad, but they're not that good. 25 a game, probably be about what they get. They'll probably run a little bit more. Just a nothing team. Nebraska, they got the Texas quarterback, new offensive coordinator, the guy from Pitt. He's going to run the ball more, I believe. Scott Frost, 15 and 29 in 4 years. The guy didn't lose. The guy didn't lose at UCF 29 games in 10 years. I mean, no, he was 6 years at UCF. Oh no, I don't know what he was. He's total 6 years, but he was at UCF more than 2. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. Again, Martinez is gone, but he was 14 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So what do you got with Martinez? They go to Casey Thompson. I read you his stats. Not much better. They scored 27 a game, gave up 22. I look for about the same thing. Open with Northwestern and then Oklahoma. They think they're back in the Big 8. Maybe Johnny Rodgers is going to play in that game. It's the only chance they got. And then they got Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa at the end. That's real tough. So I don't know. They'll be an average team. See, we're not looking for teams like that because you don't know. It's like baseball. I don't know what's going to happen, right? I'm getting pitchers with 5.0 ERAs shutting out the other team. It shouldn't happen. In football, it's the same thing. I either want the Ohio States or I want the UCLAs or I want the over teams, and I know they're going to score. And if I'm playing another, like Hawaii, if they were to play another SMU, or we talked SMU, Texas, I know I'm going to get 100 points because neither team has a defense. I know it's boom, boom. I know what I'm going to get. That's what I want. That's how you bet. That's how you win. You've got to know. That's why you got to lay away from some of these games that Nebraska, who are they? I have no idea. Northwestern running a returning quarterback, Helsinki. 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. What the hell? Unbelievable. This is your starter. 3 touchdowns. This is why they're a Z team, right? They score 16 a game because your quarterback throws 3 touchdowns. You have no receivers. Now, you do have a running back, Evan Hall, 1,000 yards. I look for them to run more, so probably be an under team. They gave up 29. So they're going to run and not get much out of their quarterback. Their defense should be pretty good. Fitzgerald, he was a good linebacker, very good defensive coach. I look for the defense to get better. It's pretty base, here, do this, do that. So I look for Northwestern. Now they open against Nebraska. Again, it's who knows, and then they should beat Duke, and then Penn State, Wisconsin, and Iowa, Ohio State, and that's it. So they got a few hard games. That's it. So I don't look for them to do much, but we'll see. And this is what you watch the box score. Maybe they got an improvement. We'll have to see. Are they really that? Maybe their defense got better with their coach. Purdue, returning quarterback, no running. So they, as I'm showing you on Oklahoma State, where they ran for 200 and threw for 200. Baylor, here you look. Purdue runs for 84 a game, throws for 355. Now what we want, this is the problem. I can play this. I know they're going to pass. I don't know what Baylor's going to do in Oklahoma State because they run for 200 and they throw for 200. That's why they're top 5. That's why we look for those teams to bet. That's why we check the box scores. Because when you see a team that runs for 200 and throws for 200, I think Oregon State was another one. That's what we're looking for. That's what you bet because you can't defense that. And that's what we want, a team you can't defense. So they scored 29, gave up 22. So fairly good defense considering they're all passing. O'Connell, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So that's better. No running. Let's see. Jeff Brom, I liked him. He was a great coach at Western Kentucky. I don't know what happened. Doesn't really do much. So all these coaches that jump to the Big Ten, Jeff Brom, Purdue, Scott Frost, Nebraska, they come and they don't do anything. Why did they leave? They were stars where they were at instead of staying 10 years. Like Goldsmith at Texas Christian was like that. He stayed 20 years. He had it right. Like, I'm just staying here and I'm the king. These guys come, Jeff Brom, he's lucky if he'll go 500. Now they open with Penn State and they got pretty easy schedule. Wisconsin, Iowa. There's no Michigan. There's no Ohio State. I don't even see Michigan State. Purdue's they got Penn State, and they get Maryland, and they get Illinois, Northwestern, Indiana. I mean, they got nothing. Really easy schedule. So you can see where Purdue could actually win this division with nothing because they don't play anybody. This is the unfair thing. They avoid Michigan. They avoid Ohio State. They avoid Michigan State. Their biggest thing is Wisconsin and Iowa. They can beat those teams. They win that side, and they're not a good team. That's why you got to look at who they play is very important. Now, if they beat Penn State, they'll be really focused to beat Penn State because they know if they can get by them, they got Wisconsin and Iowa, and that's it. Wisconsin's not that good. Iowa, they get at home. They could, not run the table, but they could be very good. So they'll be focused for Penn State. Penn State won't be as focused because Penn State got Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State to worry about, not Purdue. So they'll be a decent team. They got a good quarterback. They scored 29 a game, give up 22. They'll be good against weak defenses or weaker teams. Wisconsin, still no quarterback. Graham Mertz goes for 1,900 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. I mean, the stats – Brandon Allen, he ran for 1,200 yards. Another Malucci, 173 attempts, got 800 yards. So not really strong running for Wisconsin, who runs the ball 1,000 times. Now here's where their average is backwards. They rushed for 210 yards a game, but the problem is they only passed for 160. Baylor ran for 200, but threw for 230. So did Oak State. That's the difference. They don't throw. They throw for 160. They got to throw in the 250. They need 210 and 250. Then you can't beat them, but that's not what you get with them. So you can put 9 men in the box and say, beat us throwing. And Graham Mertz is going to give you the ball. He's only going to hurt you 10 times. He's going to give you the ball 11. So that's what happens here. Anyway, they open with Illinois State, Washington. Then they get Ohio State the 24th. They get Michigan State. They get a few, the big teams against the big teams. We ready, NCAA? Yes, Peter, we are definitely ready for that. Baseball is extremely boring. So Wisconsin will be a good team. Be curious. I think Ohio State's going to kill them because I think Ohio State's going to kill everybody. 20 minutes. So they'll be, I don't know, are they going to be strong defensively? We'll see with the runner, Allen, 1,200 yards. So they're just going to run the ball and try to play defense. Jim Leonard is a good defensive coordinator, was a good safety. I think he played for the Giants. Anyway, and that is the Big Ten. Next will be Conference USA, and then we'll get into the MAC, which are really critical because those are the ones that you get better spreads on. Like Ohio State, Alabama, instead of laying 10, Ohio State's laying 14, Alabama's laying 14. UTSA, you're probably going to get a good spread on UTSA against Florida Atlantic, right? You're going to get a good spread, a good over-under. That's the point. In the MAC, you're going to get, BYU, you're going to get, they got some more in here, Connecticut and Liberty. So in the MAC, in the Mountain West, you're going to get Air Force. You're going to get, where's the MAC? Well, the MAC's in here somewhere, I promise you. And we get our Army, which I love. Where is the MAC? Here's the MAC. So superficially, if we just look at them, I'm not going to get into the MAC now, but superficially, they got Miami of Ohio as the 1, and Kent State as the 2, and Northern Illinois, which wins it a lot, and Toledo wins it a lot. Here you see Central, Western, and Eastern. Well, if you just say who's the best team in the MAC, you have no fucking idea. And if you say, who's the worst team? I could tell you, Ohio Bobcats. Are they good or are they bad? Nobody knows that you find the best lines there. The worst team here is Akron and Ball State are the two worst teams in the MAC. The two best are Miami of Ohio, Northern Illinois, and Toledo, and maybe Kent State. But nobody knows that, right? That's where we take advantage. We know Akron sucks. So if they get if you get them in a good spread, they might not be spread enough. Oh, they're going to kill them. Especially what I like is when the good quarterbacks play the Akrons, right? When you get a good quarterback playing them, he lights them up because they suck. And that's what you're looking for. So when you get a Western Kentucky and, they get 50 points a game, or any of these big teams that get 50 points a game, that's what you're looking for is the Western Kentuckys of the world. These little teams that SMU, for example, what you're looking for is SMU playing Akron. The spread won't be right. SMU will light it up because they're licking their chops going, oh, we get an easy one here. Or SMU against Rice or Houston plays them. That's what you're looking for. You want an explosive team against this weak team, right? Connecticut, UMass. I want an explosive team. I'll lay 20, and then they win by 50 because the quarterback doesn't have anybody sitting in his face. He's a good quarterback. He wants to pad his stats. They want to look good, and they're not going to stop. They're going to, they get up 30, 40 points. In the NFL, the difference is they just play to win. They get up 10 points. They run the block. They run the clock. The other team throws, scores late, win by 3. That's why we got to tease under 3. That's why we tease -1, -2, because the nature of the game is totally different. That's win. We get up 10. We don't care if they score, and then we win by 3. In the college, they don't do that. They go and they win by 40. The guy's scoring, he scores. But it's easier to score in college with less talent if you have a really good NFL-type quarterback like Rising at Utah, and that's why Van Dyke lights it up. Van Dyke will just, let's look at Van Dyke's stats, right? So I gave you a bunch of Big Ten guy stats, right? Let's go back to Van Dyke. And this is the difference between a good quarterback and a Big Ten quarterback. So Van Dyke. Okay. Van Dyke's stats last year, 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. This is what I'm looking for. Even Miami, they ran for 120 and threw for 320, but they have a great quarterback. But that's the difference. 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So let's go to my weight guy, Hartman. 39 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. But it was still, you're looking at some of these guys, the Texas guy, the Big Ten guys, 10 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. They don't even get a lot of touchdowns. Hartman, 39. Van Dyke sitting there with 25. And he didn't even play the whole year. He played 10 weeks, 25 touchdowns. And they didn't even make the bowl. The last game, he plays Duke 47-10. Just another Van Dyke day. Virginia Tech puts up 38, Florida State 28, Georgia Tech 33, Pitt 38, North Carolina State with a great defense 31. So Pitt, he beats Pitt with their defense. He beats North Carolina State with their defense. He puts up 42 on North Carolina. So, you can see the difference when Van Dyke's in the game. They're scoring 40 points a game, 25 touchdowns, 6 picks. This is the difference. What did I go through on half these guys in the Big Ten and the Pac-12? They don't beat any good teams. This guy just beat North Carolina State, Pitt. I don't think they played Clemson. If he would have played against Clemson, they'd have beat Clemson. That's the difference. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm looking for. When you find it, that's what you bet. You bet all over on it. That's what you're looking for. So that's why you look at the box scores. That's how you find a Van Dyke. Nobody heard of Van Dyke. The first 3 weeks was De'Ara King. Miami sucks. Coach gets fired. And then they score 40 points. How did Miami score 40? Van Dyke went out there. That happened to me with South Florida a few years ago. They were scoring 10 points a game. I kept betting them under, kept winning. All of a sudden they put up a 45, and I go, what the fuck happened? Quentin Flowers took over. Everybody wondered why I'm high on Quentin Flowers, because he scores 40 a game. That's my point. That's what he does. It's usually when you see a team that scores 10, score 40, it's the quarterback change, which you don't know about. And then he lights it up. And then you go, well, is he really that good? And he lights it up again. And you go, okay, now we're going to bet this quarterback, and we're betting him over. And Vegas doesn't catch on to the fact you need new stats for the quarterback. They're still using the old stats, and then they're laying 40. The over-unders are 45 when they should be 55, and he's putting up 60 points a game, and you're sitting there going, I'm laying 42. You know what? At halftime, I think the Pitt game at halftime, we had won it. I think it was a 70-point game. I think the over-under was like 42, and at half it was like 28-14 already. And I remember that Pitt game, and it was a lock, and I kept blocking them and Georgia under last year. And that's what we look for. But we don't know we're getting that yet. We know we're getting Van Dyke. We know we're getting Hartman at Wake Forest, and we know we got UCLA over. We know Oklahoma's going to score. It's the unknowns. It's what's going to happen at Rice. It's what's going to happen. We know SMU and Houston are going to be good. It's Louisiana, Lafayette. It's Akron. It's Bowling Green. Those are the teams that make you money when they change and they become Buffalo. We made a lot of money with Buffalo. The coach moved on, and now they suck, and now we're going to bet against them. But that's what you keep looking for, is the team that goes against it. That's what I'm looking for. And that's why I check the box scores and all the stats. That's what gives it to me. So when I tell you, for you, Don, and I go, well, Nevada, New Mexico State, I don't know. Nevada's got a new coach and a new quarterback. I don't know who they are. They might be great or they might be worse. We don't know. New Mexico State, they brought in a new coach and a new quarterback. They might light it up. We don't know. That's what we need to see. So you can't bet those type of teams in the beginning. Now Illinois, Wyoming, yeah, they're probably both going to be unders. Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, we know Reynolds at Charlotte is going to light it up, but they have no defense, so they're an over team. How's Florida Atlantic? So that's what you're looking for. Is we know McCall at Coastal Carolina is great, should be a top 5 pick. That's what we know for sure. Like, he's been good the last 2 years. There's no reason he's not going to be good this year. So that's really what we're looking at. And so, Utah, we know. Florida, we don't know. So Utah laying 1.5 or 2 against Florida. We know Florida's got a weak coach. We know they got a new quarterback. We know they got murdered last year. We don't know what to expect from Florida, but I know what I got in Utah with Rising. Another top 3 pick, excellent, outstanding quarterback. Van Dyke, Hartman, this guy, McCall. You got 4 superstar quarterbacks. Right off the bat, forget the Alabama, Ohio State. They are not good quarterbacks. It's a system thing. They never do anything in the pros. Tagovailoa can't throw a 10-yard pass. Fields sucks. I mean, it's just they look good in college because of the system, which we understand. But we can bet them in college, but not in the pros. We bet against them. Look at the guy from Clemson, man. I love it. I'm betting against Jacksonville every week. The guy does nothing. He's one of these 10 touchdown, 9 interception guys in the pros, Trevor Lawrence. Why they thought he was any good, I have no idea. He didn't show up against LSU. He didn't show up against Ohio State in either game. But this Van Dyke will show up against Ohio State. This Van Dyke will show up against Alabama. He'll show up against Georgia as best as he can. If he got to that point, I would take Miami in points and Van Dyke all day long. I wouldn't bet him over against Georgia, but I'd bet him over against Alabama. That would be a high-scoring game. Or same thing with Utah. I would take Utah against Alabama all day with Rising. Look what he did against Ohio State. He shredded them last year in the Rose Bowl, a 90-point Rose Bowl. We had the over covered at halftime. It was a beautiful sight. But that's the thing. So you bet what you know in the beginning, and then you find the new ones, and that's what I look for. North Texas, Utah. Is North Texas any good? Hawaii will have a new quarterback. Purdue, we kind of know. Missouri, have no idea. Western Michigan, because you don't know the new guy and you can't look at what he did in high school. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know how these guys recruit and think they got a good recruit, right? How do you get a good recruit? He played high school guys. Here you're playing college. That's why the NBA draft's a joke, because unless you take a 4-year senior, Adele Curry or Steph Curry, who played 4 years, you don't know what you're getting. You cannot draft one of these Kentucky guys who plays 1 year. And, I don't know how good he is. I don't want him. That's why it's hard to take a high school guy, because he's playing high school talent. And I'm in the pros. I need a pro guy. How LeBron James was any good is beyond me, just playing high school. But that's what you have. Georgia, Oregon, love the under there. Tulsa, Wyoming. Maybe Tulsa's a good team. These are the ones we find out, but that's where you make the money because the lines are fair. So we will do Conference USA and the MAC next time. And that's really where the money's made. Yeah, Alabama. This is the problem. People bet Alabama because they're Alabama. They don't really have a reason to bet Alabama. It's like people who buy Bitcoin. Why? I'm sincere going, why did you buy it? I don't know. I'm not buying it. It's not an asset. It's not money. People give me a hard time for buying gold and silver, which I bought yesterday. I bought 2 ounces of gold and 6 ounces of silver, and I only bought 6 ounces of silver. That's all the guy had. The guy had 6 ounces of silver. Normally he's got the big bar, the James Bond bar, but I'm not gonna. What am I gonna do with that? I don't have a saw and I can't melt it. He does actually. He saws it and then he melts it, but he doesn't. When he saws it, he loses too much silver scrap, and it's too valuable. But the supplies are short. That was my day there. I showed them the Evergrande thing with Evergrande collapsing in China, and that's you cannot keep going broke and not have an effect. So just be aware of that. I read you the article on McDonald's losing money because people are not going to pay the extra prices, and that's where I said we're the market. We dictate how businesses do. That's the beauty of free market versus socialism. Socialism, they don't give you a choice. You got to go to McDonald's and you're going to pay $9. In free market, you don't go to McDonald's. You say, you're in charge. You go, I'm not going to McDonald's. I'm going to go to the store and go buy 3 pounds of ground sirloin, and I'll cook my own hamburgers for $5 a pound, and I go make 4 hamburgers. So I get I get it's $1.25 a hamburger versus the $10 crap at McDonald's, and I get fries. The whole meal is going to kill me. It's all sugar. So you make it healthier and cheaper at home. It's a big deal. So I make 3 pounds at a time, and I eat hamburgers for the next few days. But that's where the market is, and so that's why I tell you to sell your stocks, because it's happening in McDonald's. It's going to happen everywhere. People they're either going to save their money. There's 2 things that happen. You either save your money and don't spend it, and you use it for gas, which is coming down. I paid $3.79. It's funny. Close to my house, it's $4.40. I drive 6-7 miles away. It's $3.79. I go to them. Why is your gas 70 cents more than a few miles down the road? Well, we look at the area, and I'm going, we're not stupid. I mean, I can get in my car and drive 7-8 miles away and save 60 cents a gallon. Really? You think we're all idiots? Like, oh no, it's close, so I'm just going to fill up no matter what it costs? No. People don't do that. People shouldn't do that. Anyway, now if it was 5 cents difference, no, I'm not going to drive. But for 60 cents in these times, absolutely I'm driving. But anyway, that's what happens. So that's why you got to get out of the market, because the market, none of their companies will make. You watch Apple miss it. They might hit their earnings now, but their forecast is going to be, we're not going to sell as many iPhones because they're $1,500. Who the hell wants an iPhone for $1,500 in these times? So I don't care if it's a recession or not. I don't care what they call it, or if they want to call it a recession. All I know is the economy is tanking. Costs are up, and as costs go up, what happens? When costs go up, you got less to spend, so you're going to spend less. So obviously, I'm buying less apples at the grocery store. So obviously, sales are down with every business. And the less you're not buying a car now, right now, you're just buying little stuff. I did notice Coca-Cola at one store was $2.59 for a 2 liter. And my first thought was, well, if I own Coke stock, I'm selling it now. I might keep Pepsi, but I'm getting out of Coke because nobody's going to pay $2.59 for a 2 liter. There's no reason it's that expensive, and you can get Pepsi for $2.19. So Coke's going to be in trouble. So I'd sell theirs. I mean, you can't raise price. They can blame inflation, but they're bullshitting you with the inflation on Coca-Cola. Why would Coca-Cola be more expensive? It's probably cost 10 cents a 2 liter. So no, you're out of line, Coca-Cola. But I don't really drink that pop anyway. Very little pop. I try to just drink more water and tea and stuff like that. But pop's not healthy for you, especially the sugar's not healthy for you. But the diet, whatever they put in, the aspartame is very bad for you. So you got to be careful with that. Anyway, I think that's it. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. www.teaserking.com. The prices are out. I'm giving a discount to anybody who's from last year. If you buy the whole year, I will take some money off, but you had to be a customer last year, which I know. So let me know, and we'll go from there. Otherwise, all the packages are set. www.teaserking.com. You can go to my history tab and see how we did last year. I think we're up 44 grand, and you can go to my purchase picks, and that's where you can buy weekly, monthly, or the whole year, and you can buy locks separately, or just the pros, just the college. The best ones are probably to buy both pro and college. And I get hot on pro, I get hot on college. It just depends on the games and the matchups. Like today in baseball, Tampa Bay, I didn't even play them yesterday. Boom, McCullough's pitching. We're betting Tampa. So really, you never know. It's always the line, the injuries, and stuff like that. Anyway, go buy your gold and silver before you cannot get it anymore. That's my warning. It's cheap, but it's starting to go. And now China's bankrupt. China's in $9 trillion in debt. The U.S. is $30 trillion in debt. And don't think you cannot just keep printing. I can't print. I can't just go to the machine and print $30 trillion and pay off the debt. If they did, why aren't they doing that? They can't, because the value of the dollar drops if you do that. So then you need 60 trillion. And then when you print 60, you need 90. Anyway, that's what happens. So please be careful out there. Get your gold and silver. You need to buy assets. Go buy a Brady card, a Jordan card, a Mantle card. That is an asset that will help you. But it's really the dollar losing value will make gold and silver go up. It's not like gold and silver is really going up, but the dollar's dropping, and the dollar's causing all the price increases. So when they come out and the government says, well, people will buy less, and that'll lower the prices. That's not inflation, and that doesn't stop inflation. Inflation is just the money supply. It's just lowering the money, period. That's it. That's all inflation is. There's no wage inflation. There's any price inflation. The only inflation is on the money. And then it'll take more money to buy that. So it's kind of saying, well, if I charge you $1 now, because the dollar's worth less, I need $2 to get the same dollar that I got before. That's what inflation is. So the price isn't really going up, the value of the dollar, but the value of the dollar is gone. That's why I say gold will be 50,000 and silver will be 5,000. It really won't be going that much up in value, but the dollar will go out, which will cause you to go to Mercedes with an ounce of gold and buy a Mercedes, because they'll love it, because they won't have anything worth anything, and gold and silver will. So that's why you go buy it. But it's an asset. It's not really an investment. It's not buying Microsoft stock. It's getting your money out of worthless paper into real value. And I will happily accept gold and silver if you want to buy my picks, as opposed to USD crap paper. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Hope you learned a lot. www.teaserking.com. Get my email if you have questions. Andrew, you want to know about Syracuse? We'll bring it up, or any other team. Absolutely. That's about it. Have a great day, everybody. All right, www.teaserking.com. Be safe. Buy your gold and silver, please. Protect yourself. Thank you all.